You know what's fascinating about career transitions? Even the most brilliant, experienced professionals can feel completely lost when stepping into a new environment. I see this all the time. Highly educated, successful consultants who can transform any organization from the outside, but the moment they step inside as a leader, it's like they're playing a completely different game with rules nobody taught them. Today, I want to share Anthony's story. He had an Ivy League education, 15 to 20 years of experience in change management consulting, and he just landed his dream job. But within days, he realized he was in completely uncharted territory. What happened next changed everything, not just for his career, but actually for his whole life. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in a new role, or you're about to make a major career transition and you're terrified that you might fail, Anthony's transformation will show you exactly what's possible when you have the right strategy and support. So Anthony came to me at what should have been the pinnacle of his career. He had 15 to 20 years of change management consulting, an Ivy League education, and he just landed his dream job as head of change management at a major technology company in Chicago. But transitioning from consultant to corporate leader is like switching from being a guest in someone's house to suddenly owning a mansion that you've never lived in. It's a big transition. As a consultant, Anthony analyzed problems and left. Now he had to navigate daily politics, build lasting relationships, and create sustainable change within a 20,000 person global corporation. When Anthony reached out, he was honest about his situation. He said, I need to determine a company-wide change management framework, roll it out, and lead change training. I'm also the change lead on their top priority project while managing a small team. The pressure is on to make a strong first impression and get quick wins, but I can't rush decisions that might have to take longer. The real challenge was that this was a brand new role with no playbook, no predecessor, and no established relationships. Anthony had 3 core challenges keeping him up at night. First, he didn't know what he didn't know about navigating a massive global corporation. What about the political landscape, the decision-making processes, and cultural nuances that could make or break his success? Second, he needed to influence people across departments without direct authority. In consulting, you influence through expertise. In corporate leadership, you need to build consensus and navigate competing priorities while driving results. Third, he had to establish credibility for a role that the company had never had before. How do you prove the worth of something people don't even know that they need? But Anthony was excited about the opportunity, and he was also terrified. He told me, I'm excited about the job, but I'm apprehensive that I won't be able to make the inroads within the organization so that I can have the expected impact. Here was this accomplished professional who had guided countless organizations through transformations, but yet he was genuinely worried about failing in his own career transition. His concerns were actually completely valid. I've seen very capable people wash out of new leadership roles, not because they lacked skills, but because they failed to navigate their new environment. The corporate graveyard is full of brilliant consultants who couldn't make the transition to internal leadership. It's just a whole different game. What made Anthony decide to work with me was my 25 plus years in large corporations. As he put it, I just felt like Terry was someone who understood me and was somebody I could trust. I need a thought partner who can help me come up with onboarding strategies for a role that's never existed here before. Anthony knew the stakes were high. This wasn't just about landing a new job. This was about proving change management deserved a seat at the leadership table. If he failed, it would set back the entire function for years. Smart leaders know when to ask for help, and Anthony was smart enough to recognize he needed a partner for this critical transition. Anthony and I started working together even before his first day on his new job. This was brilliant thinking on his part. We scheduled a comprehensive half-day session where we mapped out his entire first 90 days in detail. I remember that day clearly. We met in a co-working space conference room and built what I call a success roadmap. This wasn't generic onboarding. This was a strategic battle plan for his specific situation. First, we developed his stakeholder mapping strategy. We identified exactly who he needed to meet and crafted his brand story, how he wanted each stakeholder to perceive him and his function, with different messaging for different audiences. Second, we established his 30-day assessment period. Instead of diving in to fix everything, we planned how he'd spend those first 30 days understanding the organization, the formal processes, the informal power structures, stated versus real priorities. Third, we worked on his influence without authority framework. Most of his success would depend on getting people who didn't report directly to him to buy into his vision. We developed strategies for building consensus and positioning himself as a valuable strategic partner. Fourth, we created his quick wins strategy, specific 60 and 90-day targets that would establish credibility while laying groundwork for longer-term initiatives. Finally, we developed a galvanizing vision statement for change management's future within his organization. A clear, compelling picture of how systematic change management would help make everyone's jobs easier. Throughout our ongoing bi-weekly calls, we worked on presentation skills, difficult conversations, and managing up effectively. Every challenge that arose, we strategized through it together. I'll never forget when our planning session ended. We had mapped out every detail of his first 90 days, the stakeholders, strategy, quick wins, vision, everything was crystal clear. He felt so relieved. When we were leaving that co-working space, Anthony gave me a hug and said, "Terry, you've helped me feel like I'm walking into my new job with a success plan that will allow me to have the expected impact. I feel so much better." You could see the transformation in his body language. He went from apprehensive and uncertain to confident and prepared. That's the power of having a clear roadmap when stepping into uncharted territory. But the real breakthrough came just 2 months into his role. Anthony called me with incredible news. He had been given expanded authority and received a title promotion from senior manager to director. In just 2 months, he had not only proven his value, but exceeded expectations to the point where leadership wanted to give him more responsibility and a bigger platform. That wasn't just luck. This was a direct result of executing our strategic plan. His success was so significant that the organization immediately recognized they needed to invest more in this function. He was also able to expand his team for even greater impact across the organization. That moment taught me something powerful about the difference between hoping for success and planning for it. Anthony walked in with a blueprint for success, and it paid off in ways that exceeded even our expectations. Anthony's success didn't end with that early promotion. He thrived in that role for almost 3 years, completely transforming how change management was viewed and implemented throughout the organization. He went from being the new guy trying to prove his worth to becoming a trusted advisor that senior leadership turned to for their most critical initiatives. But here's what's even more remarkable. The confidence and strategic thinking skills he developed became the foundation for something even bigger. After 3 successful years, Anthony left the corporate world and started his own consulting company. He went from being nervous about fitting into corporate culture to having the confidence to strike out on his own as an entrepreneur. The ripple effect went far beyond his professional life. Anthony has since gotten married, moved out of the city, and started a family. The confidence he built during that critical career transition gave him the courage to create the life he really wanted. Just recently, Anthony told me, "I'll always be grateful for having you there during that tenuous time. The coaching relationship enabled me to start the life and career that I always dreamed of." If you're going through a career transition, much like Anthony, click on the link below to set up your free strategic session with me. I'm Terry McDougall, the high achiever's secret weapon to more success and happiness in your career.